and welcome to Creative Quo. Today we have Vaughn Harris. Hi, Vaughn.
Hi, Dana.
It is so good to see you.
Absolutely great to see you. It's been too long.
I know it's way too long. So, how I always start out the podcast is asking you your origin story. So, I know your background. You are a producer, you're a filmmaker, you're a DEI specialist.
Mhm.
So, how did you start your career?
Oh my God. And I'm back in advertising. I am now a talent engagement person. So I've
Oh,
come
wow.
full
Okay.
circle. Um, How did I start my career? I literally started my career. I always was studying advertising and marketing in college, and I kind of kept that going the entire 4 years there. And then upon graduation, I started working at a newspaper, and that just kind of blossomed me into the world of advertising. At first, it was advertising sales, and then I decided, I want more from this advertising game. So it was like time to move out of South Carolina, which is where I grew up. And so I said,
Mhm.
it's time to get out of the South and let's try something different. So I moved to DC and was working for a Black owned publishing publication. And I was doing ad sales there. And I said, all right, this is cute, but not quite what I need if I want to get into advertising. So I had to move to New York and join an advertising agency. And I worked for BBDO, which is an agency that handled the Pepsi account back then, and that Michael Jackson video and the Madonna videos and all that. That was BBDO.
Wait, was it the one where he
Yep,
got his hair
it
burnt?
it
Yeah,
it
okay.
was. It was, sadly. But yes, great agency, major big accounts, and then I moved to Chiat Day, which I'm still a part of to this day. And they're big with Apple and Nissan and big accounts like that. So I've been in agency world for like 17 years. So actually 17 years at Shy, and then now 26 years in total of advertising agency experience. Left advertising. I said, I had enough of this. I want to get into film. Went to the new school and got right
Woohoo!
and got my master's in media studies with a focus on film production. And so that's what got me into film world. And that's how I met you, because I was working on various film projects, and I really like producing and kind of pulling the whole vision together for the director. That was kind of my passion in the film space, and just watching the process come together is really what I like to do as it relates to film.
And you're really good at it, so have you given up on
No,
producing
no,
or okay.
every now and then it'll pop up. And what I do now is I produce events at the agency.
Oh,
So I'm producing events at the agency. We bring in speakers, we have big town hall meetings, and everything is a production. So still my hands still get to touch into that, but every now and then I'll get a reach out from a former film classmate who wants me to produce their film or something. I was like, "Oh, do you really want?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Come on, come on, come on. This will be a quick one." I was like, "No, it won't be.
no, no,
It won't be quick."
no, but it's never quick. It's never quick. Some people
I was
lying to
like,
you,
"Please
but
stop. You know good and damn well this won't be quick." I said, but then of course I say, "Well, send me your script. Let me look at your script, and then we'll see what we can do."
yeah,
But I stay connected, and I often sit on the judging panels, at the new school for their film series with students, because I feel like it's important to stay connected and to see what the new kids are doing and how they're working. And
yeah,
it's interesting that in this digital space that we live in, there are a few of them that are trying to go back in the analog environment, which is interesting. I was like,
really?
okay, you trying something
Yeah,
different. I'm impressed with that. And
yeah,
so multiple cameras, they're trying different things, and people want to go back to actual cameras and not depend on a phone. So it's like, okay, this is kind of where
wow.
what I like to see. I'm hoping that,
Yeah.
technology won't take us so far away from actually touching film in some way.
Yeah, because you and I coming up in film, especially the new school, I always tell people like that going to the new school is like taking the red pill
Yeah,
in the Matrix.
it is.
If you if you went through their media studies program, you see things in a completely
Yeah.
different way. You understand that there is no Wizard of Oz. You know who is pulling the strings, you know what is
Right.
going on. So how has that affected you in
I think
advertising?
that, it makes me makes me want to dig deeper, because a lot of times with this new world we're living in, people are just so surface. I was like, nobody's asking questions. Nobody's wondering why something is lit a certain way. What are we trying to tell as our story here? Even how when we're doing these meeting setups, we use black magic cameras, and I'm always telling,
For your
yeah,
meeting
we
setups?
use black magic cameras. So I often tell the AV guy, I said, "Well, this doesn't look white balance to me. Let's pull out this. This is not white balance. I'm looking at it. I was like, this image just looks crazy." I was like, "Something is wrong here." And I said, "There's not enough light in here. Where's the key light?" He's looking at me. He's looking at me
Like, what the
like
hell is
I'm
he
speaking
talking
another
about?
language. So I often try to say, well, sometimes I like to look back, because one day I was just looking back at some of the old films I had worked on and some that I did at the school. And I was like, well, that there is something to be said about focusing your camera and making sure your sound is good. And, I'm working with you. We did so much with sound. And I was like,
Yeah.
the sound has to be immaculate. If you can't hear what the people are saying, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. And
Yeah.
so I say, and yes, we're using a lot of captions in the world today, which is always great for those people who cannot hear. But the rest of us out here, we need to understand what's going on. And that's part of communication. So I think that it's about digging a little deeper and really trying to master the storytelling. And, people
Yeah.
don't know how to present their work anymore. And that's where I sit in a lot too, because I often tell the
Mm,
creatives,
mm.
okay, you have a great idea and this is a great campaign, but the way you delivered the message about the campaign and what you want to do, what your vision is not selling it. They don't know how to do that. They're great with
Yeah.
quick little bites in social media posts, but if you really
Right, but not actual full narratives or full
never, you can't
stories.
get it. Can't get it
Yeah.
because they're so used to these quick bites, and I think that's the problem. Because I tell people, you can tell a full story in a short film. You can tell it full. It does not have to be
Yeah.
3 and 4 hours long. It does not have to be this epic telling. You can do this
Yeah.
if you really craft your script and know your story. You can tell a story in a short form. So why can't you do the same thing in social media? If you want us to sit here and watch your clips, the clip's got to be edited
Yeah.
right, and so I deal with that a lot.
Mm.
For the inside, because we do a lot of, most of advertising now is 30-second spots, and it's heavy social media content, because nothing in social media is real, folks. Anybody out here listening, do not believe anything that you see in social media as being fact. It's a story being told to you in some way.
Yeah, because even, like, I had the privilege of slightly getting into commercial directing, and that's what we were talking about. We have to do the
Yep.
15 and the 30,
Hmm.
the 15-second, 30-second. I was like, "My goodness." And you do have to master the art of telling a story in a smaller
Yes.
amount of time.
Yes.
So it's a
Mhm.
huge skill set, that you need to acquire, but I agree with you that it's hard for this new generation to think in kind of a
Yeah.
3 act linear kind of structure. It's usually the image.
Yep.
It's montages. They
Mhm.
kinda think in
Old, music videos. Just
Yeah.
just not as well
Yeah, yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah.
That's the thing. It's literally, I said, "Okay."
No Macho Mannix or Spike
Oh,
Jones is coming out,
no.
huh?
No. I mean, I need a Hype Williams or somebody. Just give me something. But, it's
Right.
that kind of environment. And then, people's confidence level is challenged now, I've noticed. People are afraid to take a risk. They're not really confident in themselves. I think that's something you have to work on. And, you have to keep crafting and building things in order to see what you do well.
Yeah, but why do you think that is? Like, why do you think there's a lack of confidence? Because I would think the opposite. This generation has
They
every tool. Back in the day, we had to like process film. Like, do you know how expensive and hard it was to
Right.
make something? And now you can your phone
Yes,
and your computer.
yes, but I
So
think they a lot of times they question everything. They question all the decisions. They don't have any faith in their own ability. If you truly believe in what your vision is and how you want to tell your story, whatever it is, you do it. Sure, it might not work for everybody, but it's what you believed in. You have to believe in your work. If you don't, it's not going to deliver. It's not going to deliver. So a lot of times they question everything about it. Like they want to re-edit and re-edit and I said, so what are you gonna have left? What are you gonna have left? If you keep editing this thing, Do you remember what your original vision was? Can you go back
Right.
to your script and say, well, this is page 1. Now I'm at page 30 and I'm still not delivering this message. So, I don't know what that is. I question people about this all the time because a lot of people have imposter syndrome because I think that so many people feel like they're not supposed to be there, they're not qualified, or they're not ready. If you don't ever try it, you're never going to be ready.
Yeah, and I think also maybe what's happening between our generation and this new generation is that we did a lot of
Yep.
apprenticeship. We did a lot of, like, go down there and
Yep.
get mentors. Like, we did a lot of freebie work, on sets, getting paid, cold
Right. Right.
pizza, whatever.
Lunch.
So
Lunch.
we that was our pay,
Hmm.
cold pizza.
Lunch.
Cold
Yeah.
pizza and cold coffee. And, yeah, you're just like
Yeah.
so you can learn, so you can network, so you can meet people, so you can get your skills, and maybe there's this leap between not having that time of learning and just jumping into a
Right,
professional
and it's
kind of
also really
setting.
about collaboration.
That
We learn
that
through collaboration. Some of these folks do
Yeah,
not, they don't wanna, "Oh, I don't wanna be judged," but you have to work with people. You have to hear somebody tell you, "Well, maybe you need to think of a different approach," or, just have a conversation. Like, if we're sitting around chopping it up, talking about this idea, oh, it could really flesh itself out. It can't all just be in your head all the time. You really have to let other people take a look at it, people that you trust and you value their opinions.
yeah,
This is your core group. And I know
yeah.
you've done it many a times in all of the films that you've done. You always like that time of collaboration and reaching out and testing the waters with stuff. You can't just hold it all in your head and say, I'm gonna make this thing and this is gonna be it.
So it sounds to me like a lot of the people you're working with, a lot of the younger generation, they're so used to
Yep.
working in
Yep.
isolation.
Yep.
And that could be a sign of the times
Hmm.
because of COVID, because of, us going through that pandemic and being
Yep.
isolated. Plus, they're more into the tech world, right? They're more into kind of living online where we were more tactile. We were more
Yeah.
you had to cut your teeth in
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
world. Like you was
Right.
that you had to go out. Like, you know what I mean? Like I remember hustling and like emailing production companies and being like, "Yo, I'll work for you free
Right.
if I just get on
Right.
set to learn something." Like we had to do that. Where now they can kind of go to YouTube and watch a video and kinda vicariously
Mhm.
absorb
Yeah,
experiences, you
and
know?
they'll know everything. By the time they finish with their little YouTube tech, they'll be, "Oh, I can do everything." And I tell people all the time because I've met with a lot of, because I speak at a lot of different recruitment panels and things like that. And they'll walk in and say, "Well, I do everything. I write, I produce, I'm a filmmaker, I'm an actor." I said, so if you're doing all of those things, what actually do you do well? Can you pick one of those 6 things you just named for me and, and tell me what you do
Yeah,
well? Or what is it that you are really
yeah,
interested in doing? Like you can't be everything. Sure you can try it. Sure. And that's
yeah,
not to say
yeah,
an actor can't direct or a producer can't
yeah,
direct
yeah,
or the writer can't direct,
yeah,
because I expect a lot of writers, especially, to direct these days. And
yeah,
but
yeah.
you also want to be craft services and you want to be, I'm confused. And so you just run into that a lot.
Do you do you think that's a
Yep.
control factor or just that they're just not used to
It's
working with other you
control,
think
and
it's
they're not used to
control?
working with other people. They don't want any other voices. They want to be the only voice. And I say, okay, but I'm gonna tell you, when you're
Oh,
going out for a job, you're gonna be hired for a particular role. And I tell them, as a producer, when I'm
yeah,
hiring people, I'm looking for specific roles that I need people to handle. You
right,
can't you can't be telling me you're gonna do
right.
all 10 of these things, because we're never gonna stay on time. We're never gonna stay on budget.
And it's impossible. I find that when you're on set,
Mhm.
you need people to focus because we've done it
Yeah.
because 'cause we've done the gorilla thing, where we've had to
Yeah.
lead 20 people. It's hard. I don't even why anybody would
Yeah.
wanna do it. If I kept other do I had to do it out of necessity sometimes, but it's hard, and what do you think the solution is, though? How do you bridge the gap between your real world experience, like your knowledge, and this new generation
I
coming into
think I
advertising?
think it's doing things like this where we're actually talking to people and and sharing our experiences, and we're also learning some new stuff because you're out here meeting new
Yeah,
people all the time, and they're expressing their ideas and thoughts and their visions. And I think it's about communication. That's why I like going back to the school a lot to see what other people are doing. And I'm working with everybody that's like 24 years old, so they all come in with these
right.
magical ideas, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see what we can do.
That's so funny because I
Oh,
started
great.
teaching, and yeah, I'm a professor now, I teach screenwriting, so I can understand what you mean, like, I see the difference because I think our generation, we were very
Yeah.
punk rock, we were very
Yeah.
anti-establishment, so we I would
Yeah.
challenge my teachers, I'd be like,
Right.
"You know what you're talking about, Imma go," like, I was, like, all about
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
wanted to do, and I find that my students, I have to pull that out of them, I have to be like, "Challenge me, don't just sit and take what I
Right.
say, challenge me, do
Right.
you
Well,
think
that's
I'm right?"
wonderful. And I'm
And I
so
think that
glad you're teaching script writing
yeah,
because you're so good at scripts. And I think that the art of script writing is so important. It's so important because that's where the story is. And that's so fantastic.
yeah, but it's hard to get them to focus because a lot of them have ADD, which is not
Oh, yes.
their fault, it's just the sign of the times, and so it's hard to get
But you know
them
why?
to
You know
focus
why?
on an idea.
Because there's so much
Ex
stimulation. It's
Yeah,
it's the phones, it's how we're using
yeah,
social media to do, like, everything is such a quick bite.
yeah,
Flashes over here.
yeah,
All my attention is over there for a second. Then it's something's going to happen here, and then boom, oh,
yeah.
and then it's that. It's a lot of that.
Yeah, I had to learn how to teach for
Good,
neurodivergent
good,
students, and it really opened me up, and I understand them, and I understand how to help
good.
them to focus and to get through things, so I get it, but I don't fault them, it's the
Yeah.
time that they grew up in, they weren't encouraged like us, like, we were latchkey kids, we were
Yep,
told, "Stay
yep,
outside, don't come in," we was
uh-huh,
building stuff,
yep,
making up games, like, our creative intelligence, our
yes.
CQ of our
It's
generation is so
unbelievable.
high, 'cause you would go outside, you had a stick and a rock, and you'd be like,
Yep.
"Alright, Imma make up a game. This is the
We were
game. This
we
is
were
how we
building
gonna do."
forts out of boxes and just sticks. Anything you could find, you'd make a game out of it. If you ask people to do this now, they
Exactly.
would know what to do. They would know where to start. But we
Yeah,
just had that. You had to be quick
yeah,
with those kind of imaginary. You lived in it. We created our own little imaginary worlds back then.
we did,
Mm.
and they were our worlds because
Yeah.
our
No.
parents didn't care. We have no
Nope.
helicopter parents, they didn't know
Be
what
back
we
when the
were
street
up
lights
to.
come on.
Exactly, and dare you to come in. Don't be coming in and out of my house. You either
Right.
come in and you stay
That was
in
it.
or
There was
you
no
go
back and forth. There was no back and forth. You can't be laying all over the furniture. You got to
out.
keep it moving. And so that
Yeah,
that is a lot of it. And so I think that how we use these all the technology, because you have to use AI. Let's just be honest. It's everywhere. It's
yeah,
part of the
yeah,
culture, and if there's going to be more and more
yeah.
of it, because I mean, if you think about it, like when you turn on your Netflix, how does your Netflix know every kind of genre of movie that you absolutely love? They know your favorite directors, they know your favorite actors. That's always going to pop up. There is so much in just
Yeah,
Netflix is one platform, but just think about all the films that are back behind the thing that you don't see,
I
that
know.
don't fall into your algorithm.
I I was thinking about that. I'm so glad you brought that up because, again, in our generation, you had to go to the video store and you would
There,
wander and find these obscure
yeah,
things and then share them your social circle. You'd be like, "Yo, you gotta watch this crazy movie I just saw." Like it was really word of mouth and it was really physically being there. And I worry about that. I'm like, how much
yep.
am I missing because my
Yes.
algorithm
I want to reboot it all
won't
the
feed
time. I
me
say, well, what
these
can I do to reboot it so I
yeah,
can get something new, or something different,
yeah,
because I feel like, oh, I've already seen this. This is something I've already seen. This is
yeah,
another film by Liam Neeson doing the same. Oh, of course. It's like, okay, stop. So how do we reboot the
yeah,
algorithm? And I think that's a good exercise. Like, what can we do within ourselves to look at something different? Because we don't have a Kim video, or we don't have Blockbuster where we can
yeah,
just go and look at titles. Me and Tawana Pettis will talk about that. And Tawana.
yeah.
She's a friend, a roommate, a classmate, and podcast partner too. And it's just amazing because we're shooting our 100th episode for Beer, Bourbon, and a Movie. Yeah, we're shooting it this week.
Congratulations. which is one of the
Thank
best
you, thank
podcasts
you.
ever.
And so we've been
Yeah.
talking about all the films, and she still has a lot of films on DVD that she has in her collection. And
Mhm.
Chris, he did Intercept. What was the guy's name? Chris
Chris
Nolan
Nolan?
was telling people to
Mhm.
collect DVDs because a lot of films are going to go out of print and they're not going to be digitized. Some films are
Really?
not going to make it to the digital space. So, in order for you to collect them and see them, you know, like these art films and these really classics, you're not going to be
Yeah.
able to find them. So, he suggests that people buy films on Blu ray. And I was like, wow.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna hold on to my collection because my collection right now, I have
Yeah,
500 DVDs. I don't even know what the
does
hell I
too.
have
But you
anymore,
know
like,
what?
but I am mad at Jonathan because Jonathan, he claimed he didn't, but he stole my collection of music video. Remember how they had that music
Yeah.
video collection with Mark Romanek and Anton Cobersheen? I know I lent it to him, and he swears, "No, you didn't." I was like, "Dude, you stole my."
'Cause, you know, I was watching, what was the movie? The Hunger. I
Mhm.
just went on Tubi and said, "Let me pick a movie," and they have a lot of old movies on Tubi, movies from the '80s
Really?
and the
Okay.
'90s, and I was like, "Let me just dig in," and The Hunger came up, and I sat and watched that, and it's so
Wow.
beautiful. It's so well done. It was like 1983, and Susan Sarandon was in it, and Catherine Deneuve, and and David Bowie. Stunningly beautiful. It was shot like an old video, like an old school '80s video, but
Yeah,
beautiful, beautiful. When they had
yeah,
budget, you know, when you had $1 million to spend, beautiful
yeah,
shots, and a
yeah.
lot of it was about the shots. That because I mean, the story was limp, but it was such a beautiful vision of a story. And I was like, okay. And then I was thinking about Juan Kar Wai and all of their
Uh,
films, and then
yeah.
you know, I love Greg Araki and watching his work. Like Doom Generation is one of my favorites, and I pull it out all the time. And like Splendor, which I also love, is one of his comedies. So I just think that sometimes I'll dig those up and say, I want to watch this and see how this played out again.
Yeah, it's funny 'cause you don't wanna live in nostalgia all the time, but at the same time, cinema
Yeah.
was just so
Yeah.
good. We have to, like, apples to oranges because I feel bad when I even talk to my students, be like,
Right.
my day." I was like, "God, I'm sounding like my mom or something." It's like but it's the I think from the '90s to the 2000s, it was just an
Yeah.
amazing decade of, like, incredible original voices.
Hmm.
Everybody had their own
Yeah.
thing, like, their own style, and that's what I loved about it. It wasn't just 1 or 2 or 3 filmmakers. You had, like, a good half dozen or more that you could toggle back and forth to. One minute you're watching
Yes.
David Fincher, then the next minute
Uh-huh.
you're looking at Tarantino, then you're at
And the indie world
why,
was just alive with creativity. Everybody was doing it.
oh,
Yeah,
oh,
everybody
it
was doing it.
was.
I'm scared that
It was.
Hollywood now, there's such a factory, like everything is a reboot. Everything is a new retelling. Like how many Fantastic Fours do we really need? Do we need another one? And sure, you went back, you went really '60s kitsch with it in this latest one, but did we
Right.
really need it? I know you want to put Pedro Pascal in every movie. I get it. I get it.
But that's what worries me. It worries me that because it is like you were saying with
Hmm.
the algorithms, because it is so generated by what's popular. So you have like now because of streamers, you have
Yeah,
execs looking at
that's
numbers
all
and
they're
not
looking
at
at.
audiences because a lot of people don't love the movie just because it was popular in numbers doesn't mean it was audience
Yeah.
satisfaction.
No one's doing that survey. Nobody's doing it. They're not doing it because they don't care. They
No.
just want to look at the bottom line number to see where it falls in their
Yeah.
budgets. And then they'll say, well, we need a big
Yeah.
actor to be in it. They're not necessarily looking at, is this the
Yeah.
right person for this story? But no, no,
Yeah.
no, we're going to do this again. Oh, we need another Jurassic Park. Oh, sure we do. We do. We do.
So do you think that because of this, the audiences that are merging, they basically have a really limited palette, like, they have a limited idea of what
Yes, and I'm
cinema is?
scared. I'm scared, especially for the screenwriters, because look at there's a million scripts floating around in Hollywood right now, but how many can we see? Like, are they going to make any of them? Because they're always looking for that. This has got to be just like this film. This has got to do this, because they're wanting the same thing. It's such a factory. that if you have some fresh
It
new
is.
idea, some really creative thing, like I'm really like if it wasn't for Kugler with Sinners, I don't
Mhm.
know who
Yeah.
else could have made Sinners. I
No one. I mean, it was originally his
I couldn't
voice,
imagine that. I
and
couldn't imagine that coming from anybody else. And then,
yeah.
is Hollywood now gonna try to recreate that with other stories? Are they really gonna?
I don't know. Yeah, if we're gonna be real honest, and we should be real honest, he is a black man, and it was a black film, so I don't know if they wanna repeat that because 'cause we're
Yeah.
always an anomaly when we do
Right,
stuff.
right. And then
It's not like, "Oh, they're
right.
just super talented." It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that was
Yeah. The
just
flute,
a
the whip,
fluke."
it was just a fancy, you know. But so
Yeah,
was Black
yeah,
Panther, and
yeah.
so was his work in Creed and Fruitvale Station and all these, and he keeps doing
Well,
it.
hello, you can't do 4 in a
I
row and
know.
be a fluke.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So I'm hoping, and as people were watching it, as people were watching it, people kept saying, "Oh, I would love to hear the story of the twins when they were in Chicago. Oh, I would love to know what happened with Mary. How was she, this biracial girl living in this town?" Everybody had so many other stories they wanted to pull out of that one story, which I thought was
Mhm,
fantastically interesting. And the
mhm,
culture of, the Irish folk music and our blues, I thought was just that the melding of that, and
mhm,
then the Asian culture, down in the Delta, and how that merged
mhm.
with black culture and all this other stuff. So how many minds were just buzzing with other stories they wanted to tell from just that one? And so I kept saying, "Oh, Hollywood's going to eat this up. They're just going to try to find a way to reproduce it."
But I heard that
Yeah,
he's not gonna
he's
do a
he said
sequel or
no,
do any spinoffs. He's like, "I did it,
and I'm
I'm
so
moving on."
thankful in
Yeah,
that he owns it. Like
yeah, me
they
too.
don't own it. He owns it, so he controls how it's going to be
Yeah,
used. And
yeah,
that's the blessing, because if
yeah,
he didn't own it,
it's really great.
there'd be 10 of them. We'd have a sequel next year.
Oh, honey, you don't even know. We'd have the Native American vampire slayers coming out on
Yeah,
Hulu or Disney next
absolutely. They
week.
would
We'd
already
have
been
like
shooting
yeah,
it.
it would
They would already been shooting it, and
yeah.
Scarlett Johansson would have been in one, and then we'd have found some way to get the writer girl. She got to pull her back in there for Beetlejuice. We got to pull her in. Winona Ryder,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, just they'll find a way, because that's
Yeah,
just what they do. But I'm just hoping that we can, since we have the technology and since we have social media that can spread the message about a project. Because think about it, if you, in some of your earlier work, if you had social media the way it's used now to spread the message, how much
yeah.
more could have happened from some.
Yeah, 'cause getting like, I think about where we were at because by the time I got out of film school and started making films, it was right on the cusp of all this. None of this
Mhm.
really existed yet. Like, I didn't take YouTube serious. I didn't take Facebook. I didn't even wanna get on Facebook. I had somebody force me because they put my pictures up there, and they were like, "If you wanna get them, you gotta go on
Right.
Facebook." I was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
So I got forced into social media. I didn't embrace it. And a lot of my circle, we didn't embrace it. We were like, "What is this?" We found that it was intrusive, that it was infringing on our privacy. Like, we weren't gun ho. We weren't those type of people who wanted to say, "Look at me all the time," you know? And that's what we saw it as at that time. And at that time, that's kinda how it was used. It was
Yeah.
used as like, "Oh, look at me. I'm eating a bagel. Look at me."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like,
And
this is boring." I
and
was
you
like,
know
"What
what's interesting
is this?"
about it now that I influence too, as because I'm also the urban wheeler online, and I give
Yeah.
little bites of, life messages, and, little because I'm also a life coach too. So I do a little bit of that in that space. And then I talk about accessibility issues and
Mhm.
disability, and all those things. And that's why I'm glad you brought up neurodivergence, because it's important for people to learn and understand that everybody with a disability is not the same, and that there's all kinds of messages out here, and I'm not one of those inspirational porn people where you're like, "Oh, see how I get dressed. Oh, see how I do this." That's none of your business. This is what I'm trying to tell you. There is more to me than just my disability. Yes, I use a wheelchair and I'm cool with it. I'm used to it. It's my thing. But there is so much more to me than that. So I use the moniker of Urban Wheeler so I can talk about these things in that space. But now I'm on TikTok, And then TikTok wants you to sell products to everybody because you know you got to sell stuff from the TikTok shop. And literally half my apartment now is stuff from the TikTok shop because they just want you to push it out there and oh, you got to go live and just talk to people. I was like, I don't. Sometimes it's not about that. You know, you got to be one, you got to be authentic in
Yeah.
your messaging and you can't just be out there to sell a product. You got to really mean what you say. And I think that
Yeah.
creators are going to use all these tools because it's a great way to tell a story. There's a one writer in there. He tells little short stories, and I know he wants them. I know he wants to
Mhm.
turn them into films. I know because you could tell how they're written. I was like, oh, this is going to end
Really?
up being a film one day. You
Yeah.
know, I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
like because there was one he did a story that was similar to like a Love Jones, like it was like this black story, and I thought, oh, this is cool. I would wonder what this would look like. And then this, so I'm
Mm,
hoping that people will use the technology in a way to create. And I'm telling you, once again, I have to go back to it. We're in a dark time in this country, and this is the time when we need creators to step up and create. Because who's going to tell these stories? If you got the government trying to take away your histories, who's going to tell these stories?
yeah. Yeah, which I'm gonna tie that into where you're talking about Ryan because I love that's what really, I
Yes,
think, blew people's minds, like,
yes.
even when I saw the movie, the crowd was like, they didn't know certain
No,
things about
no.
history.
And it made me research.
I even Yeah, because I even engage with because I don't normally engage with, like, movie reviewers on YouTube, but it was this young girl who was Irish descent, and she had, like, no clue, and so I gave her, like, 4 other movies she should watch. I was like, "Oh, honey, you don't know
Right.
about the history with black with African
Right.
Americans and the Irish? Let me
Hello.
explain to you. We got a
Hello.
history."
And we were living together. Like in Seneca Village, there were blacks and
Yeah,
Irish in Seneca Village, which is
yeah,
currently Central Park, but it used to be a whole community.
yeah,
But it's things like that that people don't
yeah,
know. And
yeah,
in the way the Native Americans were part of this story. And then how they took it all the way back to Africa with the griot and how those people were communicating and telling a story
yeah.
magical. I saw that film so many times in like a month. It was just like,
I
okay,
know.
all right, because I was every just
It
crazy.
was so great. It was so it's funny because I ended up teaching a screenwriting workshop for Nigerian
Hmm.
AI filmmakers, and I used that film as a sample of how it was classic West African
Mm,
story structure merged with
wow.
American genre. And I said so because there was a lot of, like I noticed a lot of Euro Americans weren't getting some of the beats, but I was like, "Black people, we used"
Right.
it it touched us, right? We were in the
Right.
seats like, "Yeah, yeah," like, felt
Right.
like we was in church a
Right.
little bit, you know? And I was like, "'Cause we have a way that
Hmm.
we tell stories." And he made sure he
Yes, he
told it with
did.
those beats, and that's
Yes, he
why he
did.
spoke to us. Because I remember that shot when he
Yes.
pierced the veil and they were going around. I didn't do it because it wasn't if I was in Harlem, I would have done it, but I so wanted to yell out and say, "The roof is on fire. We don't need no water." I
Exactly.
still can't because we have a
Yep.
mixed crowd right now, and they might
Yep.
not know
And
that
so much of
reference.
it was on the beat of the drum. And I was like, okay.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, all right, Ryan,
yeah,
you are it. You are it. Whatever
yeah.
you want to do next,
You're the
because
goat. You're the
because you know he's gonna do
goat.
the X Files next. So what can I
Yeah,
can't even imagine what he's gonna turn that into because he is such a
I
visionary
know.
in his way and the way he talked about film stock and why he chose 70 millimeter and I was just like he's so smart so it's like you have all of this he's such a creator and he's so into the technology of it.
Yeah. Well, Vaughn, I'm gonna tell you this because I had the privilege of meeting him right after he did Fruitvale when I was in LA.
Yeah,
He's one of
I
us.
know
He's a
he is. I
cinephile.
know he is. I know
He
he's
just
eating it
loves
up.
film. It just has nothing to do with awards or money, or he's not driven by any of that. Like, or at least that was my
Right.
impression when I met him, was like, he just loves film. He's a film
I
geek
love it. I
nerd.
love it. I love it.
You could tell he just loves
Mm,
cinema, like all of it, not just one aspect, like he
right.
just loves movies. The same way we can get down with like a commercial film 1 minute and some
Yep.
obscure art house film,
Yeah.
that's exactly
And that's the
his
beauty
rhythm.
of it, and I'm hoping that and that's what we should hope for,
Yeah,
that the technology will bring all these things forth for people, and get people to explore different kinds of films, German films, Asian films,
Yeah.
Latin
Yeah.
films. We really need to watch more and take in more of that as a culture.
Well, I think that's one of the positives of Netflix is, like, I'm surprised, like, how much now midstream or you could say middle class America is like starting to watch Asian cinema more and
Right.
Latin American cinema because of the that's the
Hmm.
positive of the algorithms. It's exposing them to artists and films that they would
Right.
never normally watch. Because I remember back in the day being that weird, and you're one of them too, that weird person that would go to the Angelica
Yeah.
or the Sunshine. God rest little
Gone.
Sunshine Theater and watch those little films, that nobody else I had to drag people. They didn't wanna watch what I wanted to watch. They're like, "I don't wanna
Yeah.
read them subtitles," and
Hey, girl, I went to an African film festival recently. The films were beautiful. They were beautiful, so well written, so
Mhm.
well shot. Just beautiful. And I was just like, and they were shot in
Yeah.
Africa with African art actors.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, this is just absolutely beautiful.
Well, listen, in my opinion, quiet is kept, and I don't think it's that quiet anymore. That they're gonna be the forefront in cinema.
Yep.
Honestly, like, I some of these Nigerian filmmakers I've been meeting, their
Hmm.
creativity blows my mind. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Where did you come up with
I
this?"
believe you.
Like, not in a million could I get to your level and you're just starting? How is that possible? Been doing this forever, and you're like, Jesus, how are you this
And they're
talented
young
already?"
and they're
And so
eager. They're ready
and
to
they're
take a
young.
risk. And I was like, okay. And they've
Yeah,
already done it in
they got it
fashion.
all.
They've already done it in music.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
film had to be a
yeah,
part of the mix too.
and they're in it. The passion is there, the drive and the focus and the discipline. I was like, "Oh, I don't think the world is ready for y'all yet, but they better get ready because 'cause y'all about to bring some
Right. And
amazing
I talk
cinema."
about you a lot because I talk about your Afro-Cubanness and how, you're such a mix
Yeah,
of cultures, and how it's so important to explore culture in that way. And how we can learn so
yeah.
much because there's so many similarities in cultures, but if you don't tap into the threads of it, you'll never know. You'll never know because we live in a world, where everything is so, this color right here. And so
Mm.
you tend not to see all of the beautiful tapestry that's really behind everything. And I'm just like, oh my God. So that's why I kept your ears had to be burning because I was so talking about you and
Oh my
lock and key
gosh.
and all of that. Because I was like, people just don't understand. There's so much to be told, and I'm just excited to see that hopefully there's a future of, more of these talented creatives making stuff.
Yeah, they're on their way, and that's where the AI technology is a huge bonus because I'm telling you,
Yeah.
these kids can work it. They're making stuff, and I'm just like, "You didn't use a camera? You didn't even
Right.
use real people?" I'm like,
Yeah, because you
"What's
can
going?"
tell it. You
It
can tell
looks
it to do it. And I
yeah,
use it too. I use it,
yeah,
but you have to keep feeding it so it understands you and your personality and,
yeah,
and your likes and
yeah,
so it speaks in your voice.
but they incredible stuff, and it's something that you bring up Lock and Key because you produced that for me. You started my career basically. That movie really started it because that movie was how, there was this entertainment lawyer, his name
Mhm.
was Gordon Bob, and he's Ava
Oh, wow.
DuVernay's lawyer, and he read about it in IndieWire and called me up, and that's how I got Perfect Match done. It was because of Lock
I
and
didn't
Key.
know
I don't know
that.
if you knew that, but that's how it all worked out. He read about Lock and Key, and we did that
Yeah.
for Cucci Frito and Dunkin' Donuts. We had no damn money. I was like on Q&As telling people that. People are like, "I spent 35,000 for a shirt." I was like, "I bought people
Oh,
rice and
right.
beans and
You
chicken
surely did. You surely did. Oh my God.
and Dunkin' Donuts." I was like, "We back then we made films for passion." Remember we came to your apartment and we had
Yeah.
Chinese food and we were
Yeah.
pre-lighting
Sitting
and
on the
drinking
floor in
beers,
my
and it was just
studio apartment. So
yeah.
yes. So
So
yes, I absolutely I know. And I was talking to Greg
it was
recently.
just
And yeah, for some
oh,
reason,
really?
all the actors that have worked in your films, we're all still connected in social some kind of way. So it just happened to come up. It was
Yeah.
like his birthday or something, and we just were chatting for a few minutes. And so it's one of those things about, when you're in there in the grind. And I remember Rosie Perez talking about that, like the Brooklyn Boheme back when they were making She's Gotta Have It in Spike Lee's early work, Do the Right Thing. And so how they all had to
Yeah.
just come together and collab, and nobody had any money, and people using their credit cards to pay for renting stuff and whatever. I was like, that's what we did.
Yeah.
And I was carrying some equipment in the office the other day, and they're like, "Oh, do you need any help?" I said, "Please, I have carried light kits, cameras, and everything around my neck, sitting on the chair." I was like, "This is nothing. Let me just tell you, because you got to do what you
Yeah.
got to do." And I hope that people understand you got to
No,
grind a
you
little
do.
bit. Luckily, the technology is getting
Yeah.
smaller, so it's not as much of a rig that it used to be.
Yeah.
But I think that there's so much talent out here, and I'm glad that you're out here teaching them and helping them get there, because it's going to be voices like yours that are going to help them. And being a Black woman, you have a voice that needs to be heard, and I think that, and especially now when they're trying to silence you, nope, keep pushing it.
Yeah. I thank you for saying that because that's what really made me start to commit to teaching was that I had a lot of students tell me I was the first Black
I believe
professor
it.
they had
I believe it.
in and a lot of times in the positions I've had, I've been the only
Yep.
one in my department. And so I come with a
Hmm.
different perspective. And there's a lot of Black and brown babies now because again, when we were coming up, it used to be
Hmm.
like you
No,
and me.
the only ones in the room. The only ones in the room.
There was
The
hardly
only ones in the
anybody.
room.
There wasn't only 2 only lucky you
Yeah.
got 2 in a room. Like, there was, like it wasn't that, and so now it's like my classes are, like, I would say, like,
That's wonderful.
60%. It's incredible. I'm like, in one generation, I'm like, "All these kids wanna be filmmakers,"
Mhm.
and I'm loving it, but what they were finding is that their faculty was not understanding the
Right.
stories they wanted to tell, and then be very transparent, they were w trying to
Oh,
whitewash
you know
their
it.
work.
You know it.
And I would step in and be like, "Mm-mm, Dana here now. Mm-mm.
Oh, you're
That is
over there
not
being
happening. You are gonna
revolutionary.
tell your." I tell them, fight the power. And some of my students naturally are that way. And so then when I came in, they're like, "Uh-oh, okay,
Yeah.
like sees like. This
Yeah.
is our professor."
Oh, that's your new tribe. You got them. I lo I love it.
And I'm telling use your voice, be express yourself, though. I mean, that's what it's all about. And I hate when whether it's in the professional space or in the academic space, where they're trying to make them
Mhm.
conform already. I'm just like,
Yep.
art is the opposite of that. It's
It
not
is.
about
Oh,
conformity,
please keep doing that. Please, please,
right?
please keep doing that, because that conforming turns you, ugh, it just because it'll then become just a factory. You're just gonna be pushing out the same old thing over and over, and you're
Yeah,
not really expressing yourself, and you're not really tapping into those cultural references that you need to lean into, because we wouldn't have had a Spike Lee. We would not have
yeah,
had a Spike Lee. We wouldn't have no Ava. No, none of that would have existed.
no,
I just I can't even imagine it if it was all just the same all the time. Because look how Quentin Tarantino was able to steal from so many people. If
yeah,
it wasn't for all this work that was already out here, that other people made,
yeah,
including Bruce Lee, he- what would he have done? His scripts would have
yeah,
been blank pages. There would have been
yeah.
nothing there. So it's important to keep doing that. So please tell your students to keep their voices for sure.
Yeah, because one of the universities I was teaching at, unfortunately, closed, is University of the Arts, which I hate because I ended up developing and teaching a Black cinema studies
Oh
course
wow.
because my kids needed it. They weren't seeing enough of our films, and I was like, "Do you know that we've been making films pretty much since filmmaking started?" I was like, "We have a 100-year plus history of making films." And these kids didn't know. They thought cinema maybe went back to the
Oh,
70s.
this
That's what they thought. Yeah,
ooh.
that's what they were like, "It's kinda 80s and 70s," and I was just like, "Okay." I was like, "We need a Black
Ooh,
cinema class. Y'all
yes.
need to know who did what," and I remember I showed one of my students all of them, but one of them, it resonated with him. I showed him Hollywood
Mhm.
Shuffle, and he fell out. He was like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen. This film could come out right now." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Guys, we have a history in
For
independent
sure.
cinema. We There's tons of film looking at to get
For
inspiration
sure.
from." Like I showed The
Yes.
Watermelon Woman. They went like they were like they didn't know these films existed. And so that gets back to what we're talking about with
Mhm.
algorithms and stuff. If it wasn't for me telling them, how would they ever really find those
Wow.
kind of
You
movies?
know what? You right, and think
No?
about it, No Daughters of the Dust. W
Oh, and you know I had them watch
I
that.
know you
You
did, I know
know
you
they had
did.
to watch Daughters. My class
I know
watched
you did.
us.
I know you did, and I think about, Melvin Van Peebles and Oscar Micheaux and, just there's so many people that were doing these things.
Yep. I had yep.
Wow.
Watch a Melvin Ben Peoples short film, and I was like, "You wanna see who Spike got inspired by?"
Hello.
I was like, "You need to watch him." And then yeah, and so what I did was how I constructed the class was I did it backwards. So we started
Mhm.
from now and then went all the way to the beginning of
That's
Black
fantastic.
cinema, and when we were called race
Right.
movies and yeah, and they couldn't believe that we had this history and how much influence we've had on other filmmakers. Because, like you mentioned,
Mhm.
Tarantino, a big component of his style comes from
Oh, for sure.
blaxploitation.
He wouldn't have he would not
I
have a style.
mean, very obvious.
He would not have one if it wasn't for that. And he even acknowledges it. So it's not like it's our little secret. He acknowledges it.
Yeah,
But it's interesting, and you think
yeah,
about what's the guy? Rodriguez. He's another voice. Yeah, he's
Robert
another
Rodriguez,
voice
yeah.
that I need to see more from him too. And there's
I
just a lot of people.
know,
So you're
he
gonna make me go out and
yeah.
pull out some stuff today, but it's okay.
Me too, you're making me wanna go back because it's like all these filmmakers are why I fell in love with cinema because, again, when we're talking about that
Hmm.
rawness, that I just wanna make it. I've got $5 and some friends and a camera, and I'm gonna
Right.
make a movie, and they did it. It was so honest and pure, and I'm so scared that now everything is so technically
Hmm.
proficient that a little bit of that rawness is gone. Because one era in cinema history I loved and still love is Dogma 95. Those
Yeah.
Danish filmmakers had me. I just love
Yeah.
some of that
Yeah.
stuff, and I wonder will we ever have another film movement? Like, there hasn't been a film movement in a
You're
long
right.
time.
But there has
What
to
do you
be.
think?
No, there's
Think it's
one. It's
possible?
coming. It's coming. Somebody's grinding right now, thinking something. They're thinking their idea is too weird, but it's and then there's their friend who's doing the same thing. So it's gonna come. It's gonna come. It's just they're gonna need the right motivation to put it out there. And once it starts, it'll just keep
Yeah.
keep the wave going, hopefully. Because just think about all those Korean films.
Yeah, because it's something I yeah. Whew, child, when I saw the Vengeance trilogy, listen, I saw that when I was in film school. I never forget this. I was in school in our school theater, and I was just screaming out loud, looking around like, "What am I watching? This is oh boy had me like,
Right.
what am I
Right.
watching?"
And when I saw Ichi the Killer for the first time,
And loved
I
every
was
minute
frightened
of it.
and excited all
Yes,
at the same time. I was like, "Oh,
yes,
what's happening? What's gonna happen next?" So it's that kind of thing that hopefully
yeah,
others are gonna be inspired, and you're gonna turn folks on to some new things. And I'm loving that you're bringing in all this, the Nigerian filmmakers because that could be it. That could be the next wave.
yeah. There you know what? You just hit it. I think
That
that
could
is
be
the
it.
next wave because what I'm learning from them is they're blending their authentic voices, like their authentic storytelling, but there's very much a Western
Hmm.
influence to it,
Yep.
and
Because
it's
think about
brilliant.
think about what they're doing in
It's just
television.
different and
If you look at
well,
all those shows that they have on Netflix that
yeah,
are all from Nigeria, they're all very rich,
yeah,
successful, blinging it out and doing all those things, right? That are very
yeah,
Western in the thought process, but there's an element
yeah,
of culture and ethnicity behind it. So it's like one day they're just going to be able to tell a
yeah.
story that's not about bling, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely brewing because from the filmmakers I've been talking to, our conversations have been about how at the core of their storytelling, there's always a
Hmm.
spirituality to it. And And I was like, because it's more collectivism, which is why I said Ryan Coogler did a classic African narrative because it wasn't about the
Hmm.
one hero, which is a very Western American way to say it. It's the one guy has to fight, and then maybe you have a team of people backing him up, but it's really that one central person story. But from a West African or a Black perspective, it's usually the collective.
Yes.
It's not the one person, it's our community, it's our family, it's the neighborhood.
Yep.
Like, think about our movies. Think about
Yep. Yep.
Friday, even though it was Craig, it was really the
Yeah.
neighborhood, you
It's
know?
always the
I mean,
neighborhood.
that's the way we tell stories. We think in a very collective way.
Hmm.
We're never just you.
No.
Like, think about even when like rappers, they have an entourage. They never just roll around. Like, we're kind of that's who we are
Exactly.
culturally.
We
We don't
always
we
got
don't
a
think of
crew.
the as ourselves as the I. We're always
Yes,
the
we're
we.
always in the crew. I
We
mean, if
always
you
the
really think
we.
about it, all the movies, all the ones that really resonate with us are always there's always a crew. Waiting to Exhale, Love Jones,
There's always
Boys in the Hood,
yep.
Menace to Society. There were always a crew of people, and it's something.
It's never really just the one person's
Mm,
story. Yeah. It's the collective story. That's how we tell stories. And Ryan did the same thing. It was the collective. It wasn't just the twins. It was the cousin. It was also Mary's story. That's why everybody's like, well, which story do I grab onto? Because it's kind of like our music. It's
yes,
polyrhythmic. It's a lot going on there. We don't do the one note,
right.
one thing.
No,
That's not
that's not how
us.
it works.
We don't put salt on our we put a lot of seasonings, a
Hey,
lot of things
it's
go
called layering. It's called layering those flavors. So hey, that's what we got to do.
and that's how we tell our stories, and I love that. I love that that's why I got excited from opening frame. I got excited from opening frame because he did a very, we're gonna deep diving on his film now, but we did, like he did a very Daughters of the Dust thing where he had somebody who was in the spirit world
Yes,
narrating,
beautiful.
the
It's beautiful.
story from that opening, I was like,
Yeah, I was sold. I
"This
was
is
sold.
some
I was
blackness."
sold. I was so ready. I'm telling you, that's why I saw it so many
I
times.
was like, "You got me from the from her." Yeah, I was like, "This is black," because that's what Julie did. She had the unborn child narrating, and so he had the one it was already we're looking at the past because she was talking from the spirit world about this
Right,
is what's gonna happen. And so I was just like, I love that, and that's another hallmark of our storytelling.
right,
It's not linear,
right. And I think there's so
you
many
know?
ways of
It's
telling.
kinda like
Yeah,
kinda circular.
yeah, and I think that's why it resonates with us so because
That's
that's
us.
who we are as a people. Because we always lean into our
Yeah.
ancestors, our grandmothers and grandfathers, and all these people that made such a big impact. Everybody got that uncle who always told that story, or that auntie. There's always that community. Whether
And we always got
yeah,
that drunk uncle. That's that's what Delroy's character. We always got that
yeah,
drunk uncle, drinking and partying.
yeah. And Mary was, she was the love interest, but she was also that smart auntie. She had all the fixing. She could make you better. She could put her little mojo bag together and save you. I know she had all kind of healing things that she used. I could her whole story I could see. And I was just
Yeah,
like, yep, keep doing it. Keep doing it.
yeah.
So that was beautiful.
Yeah,
That was great.
yeah, and that's beautiful, and I love that, and I think we're gonna see more of that, and what I like is that I think Ryan kind of opened it up, opened a lane where it doesn't water down or it doesn't cater to. It
Hmm.
says, "This is it, and you're welcome to come to the party if you want to, or and if you don't want to, don't, but I'm not going to
Hmm.
rearrange things so
Or
that you
feel
can
better about
understand."
yourself. Because this is not about you. It's not about you. So go back to your lane.
No.
Go back to your lane and mind your business.
'Cause I wanna tell you something so funny since we're on this topic of, like, Black cinema. Like, I once was at a gathering, it was for the Producers Guild, right? You know
Yes.
how they have those
Hmm.
conference things, and I went to one, and I was speaking with a producer there, and this is around the time Get Out came out, and I said, "Yeah, Get Out was, like, a really great Black film," and he said, "It wasn't Black." So my producer, he goes, "That wasn't a Black movie." I was like, "What movie did you watch? What did we watch the same movie?" And I was like, "What do you think a Black movie is?" Like, the story was about our feelings of being in
Mm,
white spaces, like how we feel uncomfortable, how we know there's an underlying
mhm.
threat.
Oh,
And,
no.
he didn't get that. He's
Never
like, "This is
never
not
would
what
he
it's
get
about.
it.
This is
Never.
treat it right."
That's why I need, Issa Rays. I need the Issa Rays of the world to stay in this game. I need all of this to happen. All of you out here doing it. Because you gonna be making movies too. Yeah, you teaching classes, but I know there's another movie or two and you
I'm circling back. You know me, I can't
I
stay out of the
know.
game too long, even though I get frustrated because, like you were saying, I've been not to trash talk it because where my paychecks are coming from, but I've been dealing with Hollywood, and and I full transparency, it's really
Yes.
frustrating because I have a project right now, and it's a Black love story, and I had a producer say Black people don't sell
Hmm,
overseas. A
of
white
course.
producer say
So
that. I was like, "Are we
yeah,
really still saying that? Are
still
we
saying
still
it. It
talking
sounds
like
so
this?"
ridiculous.
And I just
And we're
wait a
all
minute,
over the world.
just came
Why don't
and
people
just
realize that we're all over the world?
what
Right,
overseas is he talking about? Because
right.
Africa's overseas, Caribbean is
What
overseas, so what's
seas? Where are they? Imma look for 'em. Imma look. I'm gonna look. Imma look. I know the map is changing. We got a Gulf of America and such, so maybe the seas are different now. So let's see. But I one thing I do know is people of color are everywhere. And
yeah, and that's why I so I told him, first of all, I just had a serious reaction, and I was like, "First of all, I hate when
mhm.
people say that."
Yep.
And then I started breaking to him the demographics. I was like, "I don't know when the last time you was in Europe, but buddy, you need to go to France and Italy is what's going on. Because the last time I was in Italy was a couple of years ago. People were coming up to me talking Italian thinking I
Yes,
was a
that's what I'm
local.
saying.
I was like, "That's how many black people are in Italy right now." I was like, "Dude, I don't know where you live in, but obviously you have not
No,
traveled
no,
the
but
world."
they have that old mindset in their brains and they just don't want to let it go. But it's not the reality of the
Yeah,
world. And in it to be honest about it, everybody's gonna be multiracial. So that's just the way it's
yeah.
winding out. So it's gonna be more. And so there's gonna be more voices.
And
Multicultural,
multicultural.
multiracial, everything.
We're all multicultural. I don't care what your background is. You growing
Yep.
up eating tacos, eating
Yep.
Japanese food, watching Korean,
Right. Eating
watching
sushi.
the Korean drama,
Right.
K-pop. We're living in a multicultural
Yep.
world right now. Listen
Yes.
to Afro beats.
Yes. Absolutely. And it's gonna keep going.
Listen
Yeah.
to Bad Bunny right now. Everybody's
Absolutely.
into Bad Bunny. Everybody Puerto Rican right
Absolutely.
now.
You don't know how bad I was trying to get my ticket to go sit over there for that last show. So, absolutely. 1000%. Mhm.
So you know what I mean? We're living in this multicultural world, literally, and yet you still have an
Yeah,
old
because Hollywood needs to
gatekeeper
change
guard
their model.
who are saying that, yeah, yeah, they're saying, "Oh, well, you're black, so there's no value in
Mhm.
this space." And can I tell you that I'm not going to tell you who the actress is that attached it, but I'm going to tell you who they wanted me to try to put the movie. Laura Dern.
Mm. Okay.
That's what his casting suggestion. I was like, "This a black how this a
Yeah.
very black
And
movie."
yes, she's all about her black man, so maybe he thinking that way, but I don't know, but
But I was like, "This wouldn't fit. It would change the whole film to get like, it's not a generic story where the ethnicity and the race of the character doesn't matter. Because if that's the case, you can just interchange any actor." But I was like, "This is culturally
Mhm.
specific." I wrote this for Black women. It's a Black love movie because I feel like we need one. We haven't
Right.
had one in a
We
minute.
haven't.
And I'm like, "That's what I sent
Wow.
you. That's how I presented it, and now you wanna
Laura
change it."
Dern. Okay, Laura Dern. That also changes the ages of the women. I'm not sure what the story is.
Well, the women
Okay,
are
well
around
that's
her
good.
age. It's a
That's
middle-aged
good.
story. It's a
But I
middle-aged love story.
mean,
Yeah, but
there's
I
so
just
many
thought
other women that you could have come up with, even in that. Laura Dern is never on the radar. Wow.
she's a
Yes,
great actress,
yes,
and I
she
listen,
is.
I love her, but she's not right for this I was just like, "You're not even thinking about you don't care about the script or
No.
the story at all. You care
Yeah.
about your agenda. Whatever your agenda is, that's what's
Hmm.
most
Yep.
important to you." Because the comparables were like, Girls Trip. It's kinda in
Oh,
that lane, but
yes.
more romantic. you
Yes.
know? I was like, "So where you get her in a girls trip?
Right.
Where
No, no,
where
no.
how"
No, and I know how to like how the sisters go to Essence Festival and all these and all these sisters that go to to
That's what I'm
wine
rooting
country. You know, there's that whole movement of the sisters going to the wine country and enjoying wines together and taking train
for. Yeah,
rides together and doing all. We do every
yeah,
damn what who
exactly.
what no.
That's what I was like that, and that's the demo that I was like, "That's my audience. That's who I'm writing for. I'm writing for them to have a good
Hmm.
time, kiki it up, invite their girlfriends, and watch this fun
Right.
romantic comedy." And I'm like, "And you want me to cast the best friend
Hmm.
as Laura Dern?
Well, well,
Or
it
you
had to
want"
have somebody in it. It had to have somebody in it. And I still she still wouldn't be the first person that came up in my brain as the best friend, the buddy, you know. And I like them being the buddy,
it's
but
just like
that's weird to
yeah.
me. But you know, that's how they roll.
It was so insulting to me. It was really yeah, it was really insulting, and it's really frustrating because I've learned, especially now that I'm producing more, is how much power people
Yeah.
like that hold over what gets greenlit and
Hmm.
what we get to see and what happens. And I was just like, it's just really frustrating because, like you were saying earlier, there's a lot of great stuff, a lot of scripts sitting around, a lot of great stuff sitting around, and you have these kind of gatekeeper keeper kind of personalities who it's based on what they think. Their bias is so
Yes.
built in that they're not really
Yep.
looking at the
Absolutely not.
business, because my co-producing partners, they're like, "Did you see the numbers that girls trip did? Did you see the
Hello.
numbers?" Like,
Hello. Everybody loves it.
"You think
Everybody
you need
loves it because we
to
can all relate to the experience.
and you think you need to add
And we're
somebody
not
else
the
in
only, and
there?"
clearly we're not the
Yeah.
only ones going to see Girls Trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that speaks right there to your
Yeah.
point,
But it's this
right? That
segregated
we
mentality.
also people don't want to see our shirt. We're not selling overseas. 'Cause I know it made money overseas too. So you can say what you want to say. Let's move
Yeah.
out of that. I say, oh, okay, well, it's not for you then.
Yeah.
I'd have rather him say Viola Davis
Yeah, and that's what I
than
did, and
say.
I told my I know, he said it was so random. I was like, "Did he just say
I know you
Laura
got
Dern?"
confused. You were like, oh,
I was like, what makes you think she" I was like, "What makes you think she wants to be in a rom-com co-starring in a buddy
right,
romantic comedy that is like" it's like Stella Gets Her Groove Back meets Girls Trip. It's like if you kinda
yeah,
combine those
mhm,
2 together, it's kinda like that if you can match tones, and I'm like, "What makes you think she wanna be in this?" I was like, "Dude, you just" and then another time he said, "How about Melissa
no,
McCarthy?"
we're not having a conversation. We're done. We're done. No,
Yes, he did.
no, no,
He
no,
said
no.
Melissa McCarthy.
Now, Maya Rudolph, sure. Tracy Ross,
Yeah,
Tracy Ellis
Maya Rudolph would
Ross.
work, actually. Yeah.
No, Melissa
Yeah.
McCarthy. You've insulted me. I'm walking away
Yeah.
from you. Goodbye.
Yeah, he's just pulling, and so I told my producing partner, I was like, he's racist, and we're
Nope,
not gonna work
nope.
with him." I said this way, "I don't know if he's truly racist, but his
Yes, it is.
business
Yes, it
practices
is.
are."
And
So
and
I was
that's all
like,
he knows. And he's the
"Yeah.
number cruncher. He's just crunching numbers. Yep, trying not to
Yeah.
get fired.
Yeah." And I was like, "I'm not trying to make"
Yeah, he's trying not to get fired.
Mhm. And I was like, "I'm not trying to make him no money because he kept saying, 'Oh, I love the script, though, I love it.'" I was like, I'm not trying to make you money. I ain't trying to
Ah,
make you
ah.
money when this is how you think. I ain't trying to
And I
make
wish
you
more
money."
people thought like that, to say, well, you know what? I'm not giving him any money
Yeah.
or her, whoever it is. I'm not giving them money because
Yeah.
they're just trying to use me and take advantage of my audience because they do know you have
Yeah.
an audience and they want to capitalize. They
Yeah.
just want to cap.
Yeah. Because that's how we went into it because me and my producing partner, he produced Perfect Match. So he was like, "You've got the writer of Perfect Match, you got the producer, we've got another project we wanna do together, and dude, we this is our wheelhouse, like, we know how to do this, so what is" he was even like,
And they want to turn it into something else.
'cause he wasn't in on the meeting, it was on one. Yeah, he was like, "What the hell?" When I told him about the Melissa McCarthy, he was like, "What the hell?" 'Cause he couldn't
No,
make it to the meeting, he was just like,
no.
"How did that" he goes, "That's not what we presented." I was like,
The
"I
math's not
know."
mathing, as they say.
They just trying to convince me. Yeah, yeah. It was so crazy, and that's what I'm seeing, like, a lot of, artists of color, we kinda gotta deal with right now because I'm worried about the
Yes.
climate we're in right now, and I want you to kinda talk about that and talk about it
Oh
from
Lord.
advertising Pointed you because
I'm
you were
not anymore.
DEI, and I knew so I had an agent. Yeah, because I had an agent a few years ago who when it was all starting to happen, he was very honest with me. He goes, "Dana, you got about 2.5 years, and then it's gonna shut." And I was like, "Wow." He goes and he kept it real. He goes, "There's a lot of people who don't feel comfortable around black women, so they won't hire you. It doesn't matter how talented you are or whatever you have to offer, it's just they don't feel
And that's true.
comfortable." And he was a white man and he kept it real. I really respect him. I was like, "Thank you for keeping it real." But he was like 2.5 years, and he was right because it was like it was almost like the clock wind down, all of a sudden it
Yeah.
disappeared. So talk about that. Talk about like because you were a
Yeah, I was
specialist in that.
doing it, and I got certified in doing it, and just trying to make sure that I was, and it really wasn't. And the saddest part about it, working in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I have to say those words out loud so people understand what they actually mean. When you're talking about making things more diverse, that means including everybody, including the people that fear that their place is being taken. That means everybody is included. Everybody
Yeah,
has a voice. Everybody has a
yeah.
seat at this quote unquote table that everybody references all the time. And I tell them, I said, well, first of all, if you're worrying about what black people are doing, we made the table. We set up the whole room. We did all the food. We did all the things. And all my gay sisters and brothers, they put all y'all clothes together and got y'all looks tight. And now, and my Asian brothers and sisters have done all the math and they working all this out for us. So everybody has to come together. And that's what DE and I was all about. And just and making spaces for
Yeah.
everybody to be heard, like people with neurodivergence and people with disabilities, and everybody's in the room now. It's not just one majority voice,
Right.
because that majority voice is not really a thing now, because the world is multicultural. And so I guess that became a
Yeah.
threat to
Yeah.
people. And well, not to all people, but to some people specifically. And then they tried to turn it into this whole man
Mhm.
space where they didn't want women to have too much power, and they was trying to, this bro culture thing that came out of that is also toxic and very
Yeah.
negative, because that's not a reality either. Then this now they're in so what I had to
Yeah.
do, I had to pivot in order to still maintain a job. I moved into from diversity, equity, inclusion work into talent work within the company. And that way I could turn
Okay.
because I'm still doing the
Okay.
same work. I'm still planning events and doing everything and touching on every
Right.
culture, but I had to do it from a different perspective. And that's about engagement of everybody.
Okay.
So it's just semantic.
Okay. So you're still doing the work, you just had to, like,
Yep,
get rid of the
the
title,
titles change.
basically.
It's called, impact, inclusion. Inclusion is
Yeah.
still there because they have to do that, because inclusion means everybody is included. You can't tell people they're
Right.
not going to be included. And I don't care how much you try to wipe
Right.
away our history. You know,
Right.
the thing about history, we know how to tell it in different ways. We can put it in a quilt, we'll put it in a song, we'll put it in our
Yeah.
food, and
Yep.
it's still going to be told,
Yep.
and people are going to
Yep.
still be able to get it. And now that
Yep.
we have different ways of expressing our voices from all this stuff in social media, because that's what TikTok is good at too. That's about exchanging of cultures. And don't be
Yeah.
afraid of social media. Use it to your advantage. And I think that voices are still going to be heard. You can try to whitewash it all you want to, but guess what? The flavor's going to come right to the top.
You're right about that because I feel like ever since they were trying to change the history books, I've seen people on TikTok tripling down on
Yeah.
history lessons, things
Yes.
I didn't even know. I was like, "Dang,
Yes.
I didn't know that about the." People are
Yeah.
just everybody's like
Yes.
researchers
And
now,
and that's where and that's where
historian.
Hillman
Yeah.
TikTok came out of that, where black people were teaching courses on different things. Some were doing screenwriting classes, some were doing cooking classes, some were doing history classes, and they were calling it Hillman TikTok because we as black people knew
Oh,
they
that's
took it from
beautiful.
the Cosby Show, and in a different world. They
Yeah,
took it from a
yeah.
different world and called it Hillman, and then all of a sudden TikTok had TikTok University, where they were trying, everybody else was jumping on the bandwagon too. But that's the power of what we do. Look at the power of Black Twitter during the scandal days.
I was just thinking that.
None of
Yep.
and we
Black
blew Twitter
Twitter.
up. And now that it's X and nobody wants to be involved with it but the racists, you can have it. We don't need it. We don't need it because we've
Yeah.
already moved on. Because we're always
Black
10
Twitter.
steps ahead because we have to
Yeah.
be 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Why do we still have to be 10 steps ahead? Because that
Yeah.
man that you met that said black stories don't play. Because he said the same thing. If a Latin producer came up to him, he'd say the same thing to the Asian.
Oh,
Same
sure.
thing.
Sh
So
Sure, because in his mindset, the only image
yep,
that's important is the
yep.
white male protagonist. That's the money, and then maybe a white female protagonist, but she's still
No,
not as powerful
she can't be.
as
She
the
can't
white male
be. Because
protagonist, and I even like it. Yeah,
and you were saying you like what?
it's how they set it up. No, they set it up like that's the economic system, and it's part of the system, right? I mean, as much as we don't wanna face it, it's something I had to face even when I was teaching, um, is that there's a bit of white supremacy baked into the way all of this stuff is constructed.
Yep. Absolutely. From the very beginning. From the very beginning.
Yeah, and it's normalized. Everybody says, "Oh, it's just business, and it's just
No.
whatever," but I'm just like, from the way they stereotype people, from the way the whole construction was it was a social engineering. It was a way of creating hierarchies and values with people based on how they constructed their
Yes.
narratives. And, yeah, it's disheartening that people believe it,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
So I talking about we went
right.
to school, we took the
Right.
red pill, we took that damn red pill, we're like, "What are you talking?"
That is what I'm saying, and you're gonna see too that the narrative of where we are is gonna spill out into our films and stuff, and especially around women especially because now because of that whole
Yeah,
movement that they were trying to tell women that you're supposed to be caregivers and mothers and in your home and not so focused on work. They're gonna move slowly away from those power driven successful women stories in business.
oh,
It's going to be more related
for
around
sure,
homes and families and all of that,
for
or
sure.
or they'll just be
I feel it
sex
already,
objects.
yeah. No, I feel it already. I feel it already in what these companies are looking for and what they're accepting. Yeah, like that's what I wonder, like now that we can kind of talk about it, we can kind of segue into politics a little bit, not too far, but what happened to Jimmy
Right.
Kimmel, the censoring, right?
And it's sad to me.
So
It's
how do
sad to
you
me. I don't believe
feel?
in any form of
Yeah,
censorship, and this whole thing, because what he said really wasn't something bad to say. He actually told the truth, but nobody wants to hear the truth. They're afraid of it. And just because you don't agree with someone doesn't mean you can't talk about it. And two, how oh, so it only works one way. You can say everything you want to about us, but we can never clap back at you, and it
yeah,
plays
it's
out in
weird.
everything.
Isn't it, don't we have freedom of
Right.
speech,
You
right?
can't,
Yeah.
you can't or, and sadly, even when you say, I don't want to see the tragedies that happening in Gaza, then all of a sudden you become anti-Semitic just because you express that you don't want to see babies being killed in the streets of their home. So how does that work? So, but censorship
Yeah.
can never work. And if we want to keep this thing called democracy in this country, we we have to have the media. We have to have the
Uh,
media. We have to allow people to say what they want to say, even though that has to work both ways. That has to work both ways.
do you think we like this? I don't know how to gauge things anymore, but do you think we might be entering another era of
Yes,
McCarthyism?
yes, yes, absolutely.
You said yes. You didn't even
Absolutely.
hesitate to think about it. You
History
were
is
like,
repeating
yes.
itself. And that's why we're in the space that we're in now. And then you had the vice president last week just telling people to snitch on whoever that said something bad about this Kirk man, call their bosses and get them fired. So now I'm losing my job because I don't agree with this man's politics and I don't care about him. Sure, it's a tragedy what happened, but guess what? You reap what you sow in this world, and other people are going to reap it too. And I think that we have to be able to, we've got to fight back and we've got to resist it. And I think that's where art comes into play. You know,
Yeah, but see, yeah, this brings our conversation full circle because I feel like we're in such a global state, or at least here in the US, we're so into this survival mode. Don't you feel it? Like
yes,
everybody's kind of
yes,
like wanting to stay afloat. So I think when you're in that space, you'll make compromises you wouldn't
Uh-huh. They're gonna
normally
happen.
make.
They're gonna
And so what I'm seeing that it's with a lot of young kids is like their first thought is how to make money and the commercial aspect of it. They're not thinking like we did. Like when I made Lock and Key, I didn't even think I was gonna put it in film festivals. We just made it
yeah.
because we loved
Yeah.
making something. I had no agenda with it at all. None.
Yeah. Well,
None. I was just like, "I wanna make a movie," and then I made it, and then it was because a film festival emailed me and said, "I heard about your movie. Would you submit it?" And I was like, "Alright,
right.
why not?" And then it just took off from there, but it was just like, I made it because I wanted to
Yes.
create, but don't think in this climate, it's coming from
It's
that
not.
same
It's not, and you're
space.
right. But what's gonna happen with that? You're gonna have those people, yes, that are always gonna be looking at the dollar. But see, while the door is opening for them to do that, someone else is gonna come in too.
Yeah.
Someone else is gonna come in. And they're
I
gonna have
like
a
your
different
thinking.
perspective. You cannot be so driven with money that you sacrifice your principle, your belief, your soul in order to make it, because you're never gonna be successful. You might get it in the initial, but it's
Yeah,
not gonna last. And so we're gonna have to tell stories of resistance. We're gonna have to talk about, this immigration movement, how ICE is just scooping people off the street, and that's happening
yeah, yeah,
everywhere. That's happening here in
yeah,
Harlem. That's happening in Brooklyn. That's happening.
yeah,
Just anybody brown is getting scooped up. I don't see them scooping up Germans and Italians and Russians, none of them, but I see them scooping up a whole bunch of brown folks. And so that story is going to be told. You best believe somebody is going to tell that story,
yeah.
and it'll have to be done
I
indie.
hope so because yeah, that was coming because they're afraid of the
And
population
but guess
shift,
what?
right? Because Latinos were
I'm
starting to
sorry,
become
Todd, Becky.
a hard
Your daughters and your sons are already having little dalliances with people of color. So it's not going to change. That's not going to change. You can't wipe these people away. But-
they're listening to
right.
Bad Bunny. They're going to
All
Bad
day
Bunny concert.
long, all day long. They're eating all this soul food up here in Harlem. They're doing like these little tours, and they have every little bit of Asian food you can find. K-pop, bop, bop, bop. Because K-pop is pop, and guess what? Everybody's listening to it. So I'm sorry, you can't do it. It's not going to work. But see, that's the difference between McCarthyism of that day. We don't have power, and we don't have ways to express our voices. We have all that now. And we
Right,
also have jobs. We also have
right,
jobs,
right,
careers,
right.
and money and education where they tried to keep us from all of that before. We already have it now. And that's the reason for the whole government shuffle, because they wanted to get rid of those people that had been working in
Yeah,
government for 30 and 40 years. And most of those people who were very successful, had built their
yeah,
homes and their
yeah,
families.
yeah,
So but
yeah,
it's all right. It's all right, because we've been
yeah.
down before.
I didn't
We've been
realize.
down before, but you can't keep us down long.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I feel strongly, and again, part of the reason why I started the podcast because it's about creative intelligence, and I was like, in my community, we're on that genius level
Yeah.
CQ, because Black people, we'll make up anything. A Black person can take a spoon and turn it into
Yeah.
an instrument.
And you know what your mama taught you.
Black person
Right.
take their mouth and turn it
Yes.
into
That's
an
what I'm
instrument.
saying. That's why I tell people all the time. My mother taught me how to make a dozen eggs stretch. I can stretch them for a whole month. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm not worried about the price of an egg, because I know I can
It's
make that egg stretch. That's why we got milk. We put a little water in and do whatever we got to do. Throw some extra seasoning in there, little cheese, stretch it on over a little bit more. What you got? That's what I'm saying. We know,
you ain't lie, you ain't
you
lie.
know,
Yeah. We have that
right.
CQ. We can't like, I think we gonna be alright. Like
Kendrick
Kendrick
said
said,
it.
"We gonna be
Kendrick said it.
alright." 'Cause
Kendrick said it. He also said they not like us. What you think he meant?
yeah, because we come from that tradition where we can that's what I absolutely love about our community, and that's
Yes, it
globally our
is.
community, right? And a pan it's like we look at a problem and we don't get mad and wanna initially turn things down and
Yep.
shoot things up. We look at it and say, "Alright, that happened. Now
Hmm.
what we gonna do?" And especially if you got a Black woman in there, she gonna say,
Yep.
"Alright, this is what
Hmm.
you gonna do." You gonna get over there and do this.
That's why that's why they always be trying to
And you're gonna
silence
fix
y'all.
that, and you're
That's
gonna
why
do
they always
that,
be trying to silence the
Yeah.
black woman because they
Yeah.
know a black woman gonna pull it together. She gonna pull her community together. She gonna pull everybody and tell everybody, this is what we need you to do. You're gonna go over here and you're gonna do this. You're gonna go talk to Miss Brown and she gonna come over with something. That's it. That's it. Black women will save the world.
Yep, she'd be like, "What you got over
Black
there,
women
baby?"
will save the world.
Yeah, or the
Right.
organization skills is crazy, or
Right.
organize something
Right. That's a reality. I'm sorry.
in a minute. You'd be like, "How you
What you
put
mean
this
how I put it
together?"
together? What you mean? You don't see my grandmama sitting
Yeah,
over there. My grandma told me
yeah.
what to do. This is it. That's black women gonna save the world. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care what nobody says.
You remind me of, like, when I was in film school, and I used to, like, put my productions together, and I would help other people out, and they were like, "Wow, you've got, like, so much skill," and I was like, this is being black, being from New York, and not having money. Honey, we gotta make it work. You gotta figure that out. I was like, "Oh, you don't got that? Let me go talk to this person. Oh, you want this? Let me go whatever." I was like,
Yep.
"That's just
That's
living.
all it
What are you
is
talking
living.
about?"
It's living and learning. And that's what I try to share in my urban willing space. The loop is what I call it, because I'm trying to build a community within that because I want other creators and other people to share their stories and their adventures. And I think that that's how we're gonna make it through this time. Because we're gonna have to lean in on each other a little bit more
Yeah,
and not be so selfish and not understand that we have to share, you know, and there's nothing wrong with sharing because everybody
yeah.
benefits from the share, not just one person. And I think that's the beauty of what you do. And I know where you got it from. I met your mama. I know what she taught you. And so I know,
You
I
my
know. That's
mom.
what I'm saying. So I already you don't have to say it twice.
Let me just tell you, she just put a conference together
That's what
in
I'm saying.
Spain. She just got back
I'm
from
not, I'm
Madrid.
not, I have no doubt because this is the kind of thing, and I know my mother is 98 years old and she can still like when her birthday comes, she's planned out her whole menu. She knows who she wants to come by the house. She's got the whole thing organized. All she needs me and my sister to do is facilitate. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
8 school teacher. I was like,
Yeah.
nope.
No, I
It's our
it's our culture. It's our culture, it's our community. It's again, like we were talking about Ryan's movie, we were talking about, like, African storytelling. It's
yeah.
that collectivism. It's that we. So when a problem hits, we don't think, "I've lost my job and I gotta go shoot up everybody." We think, "Alright, here I am. Let me
Mm-hmm.
go to my community."
For survival.
And
Mm-hmm.
we do, right? For survival. And then the first thing is people be like, "Oh, so and so lost their job. Let me go cook them a little meal. Let me go do this." Like we rally around each
Yes.
other traditionally. Now, I'm not sure if that's changing because
No,
I feel like our culture
it's
is
not because
a
I
bit.
was at an event just this week here in Harlem, and during this event, which was a social thing, people were sitting there talking
Mhm.
about mobilizing and coming together and changing the
Okay.
community and changing the White
Okay.
House and changing all these things that we wanted to see happen for our people in our community and everywhere else. And we were also bringing in, you know, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and Asians into the space to talk about how we can mobilize together to
Right.
make change. So it's not over yet. It's not over yet. And there are a lot of young people in
Okay.
this room who are going to use their power and their skill set because they're mobilizing too, you know, and that's like, okay, all
Yeah.
right, we're gonna come together. We're gonna share these ideas. And I love to see that because I was like you, I was fearful that well, maybe the time for that has passed. Maybe they don't see it, but they do see it. And they understand the power of the collective. Collectives are very important. And just like that collective that sat around and built that project 2025, we can do the same thing on the other way. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
I believe in the
That's true.
human condition.
Talk about urban me
You know,
talk about urban wheelers.
I needed to create a space where I could just talk about things that have really influenced me because as I've learned through living life that I have to share what I've learned because I
Mhm.
know it impacts other people. I literally met a woman, and I talked about this too. I met a woman 2 days ago, just ran into her on the street, coming off the subway. She stopped me on the street and she remembered me
Mhm.
from 20 years ago when I was at Irving Plaza.
Wow.
Me and some friends, we went there to see a show, and she had taken her son there, and he was newly in a wheelchair. And she said to me, she said, "You inspired my son so much that night because he was so fearful about what his life was going to be now that he was in a wheelchair. But he saw me. He saw me
Mhm.
there interacting with my friends. And she even saw me coming into the venue where I'm jumping sidewalks and doing all the things that I do. And he was so amazed by that. And it inspired him to keep moving
Yeah.
forward. And she said, "You really touched him and you really changed his perspective on what his life was going to be." I was spellbound as I'm sitting there talking to this woman on the street, and she showed me photos of him because I was trying to remember the moment. And she started showing me photos in her phone of
Right.
him. And I said, "Oh, I do remember." And it was such a brief moment of exchange between them at that venue because it was a concert. It was
Yeah.
loud and everything was going on. But she told me, she said, "You really changed him," because he was all depressed and sad and not really knowing what was going to happen to him in his future. But he saw
Yeah.
you and you made a difference. And I was like, "Well, you know what? And I was having a bad day that day, and I was really kind of
Mhm.
sad with the way the world is and just feeling like we were just in a dark space and I wanted to be clear of that. And it was just what I needed. It came at the right time because to know that our lives make
Wow.
impact on people. And I felt like it was time to
They
share
do.
that. And as I'm getting older now, I see the importance of that more than ever. And there are so many people that need to be touched, moved, and inspired by other people. And if I can lend that voice to doing that, I don't mind doing that because that's important because people did it for me. So how I want to give back.
You're completing the cycle, right? Because now you're starting to get into
Yep,
that
yep,
uncle, elder
yep.
kind of space where you're gonna mentor younger kids. I feel that same that's why I
It's
kinda love it,
great.
though. I love being in
Yes,
my
I
auntie
love it. And
era,
Dana,
right?
Dana, I was born in 1965. I am 60 years old. My birthday just happened. And I never thought, when I was 30, I thought it was the end of the world. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm old. I'm old. I don't have it. If I knew what I knew now back then, the whole world has changed. And, like I said, I look at my mother and the fact that she's 98 years old. And I was like, she has seen so much of the world. And now I can reflect back on it myself from, what it was like to be in my
Yeah,
20s, what it was like to be in my 30s, what it was like to be in my fucking 50s. So now I am 60 and I am not
yeah,
my father's 60. I wasn't my mother's 60. I'm definitely, we're in a whole other space. Nobody can tell how old we are. If my beard was
yeah,
black, I could throw some
yeah,
Bajine in there and nobody would know. Nobody would know. I don't have any wrinkles on my face. Nobody would know.
yeah,
I thought you were
right.
I
I
thought you were
don't crack,
22.
honey.
So what are you talking about, Auntie Phase? But that's my point. But that's my point.
Yeah,
We got to take the lessons that we've learned.
that and also I think we have a lot of energy
Yes.
compared to
But
other
Gen
generations as
X's don't.
well.
You
Like
don't have time
there's a
because Gen X folks, we were just
yeah.
thrown out into the world. Go, live, be, come back when it get dark.
I think that's
That's
what
right,
we're
and
survivors.
we were
That's the
all
whole
latchkey
thing. Like
kids. We were
and not
always alone in spaces, creating and
yeah,
thinking of ways to make something happen. That's what we were doing. I was the beginning of it. You were the end of it. So it's just like this is how we roll.
yeah.
And I'm still doing it. I do it at work.
And you know what the thing is? We're we're not
No.
afraid to be alone. That's what I love about our generation. Like we're not only are we not afraid to be
Yeah.
alone, we're also we'll socialize. We're good at socializing, but then we know to say,
Yeah.
you know what, enough. And now I'm gonna
Yeah.
go sit in my house and
Yes.
be with me. And we're
I'm
and we're
so
good
good
with it.
with it.
Don't you feel that way? There's sometimes where I just love
I am so
me.
good at it. My friends are like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "I don't have time. I need to go home. I want to chill for a little bit." And when you're always on, and I know you know what this is, when you're always on, you need that decompression time. And I've learned to appreciate that
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
And I tell people, if you want me to go out with you on Friday, you tell me while I'm downtown. Because if I get back to Harlem and come in this apartment and sit on that couch, done. It's done.
That's it.
Because I'm in my space. I
That's
might
it.
turn on a
It's
movie,
a
might
wrap.
have me a little drink or something. I'm relaxing. I'm not worrying about the world. I'm just chilling. Some days on Sundays when I just want to just relax. It's nothing more beautiful than that to understand the alone
No,
time.
it's beautiful.
This is a great conversation.
Alone time, and that's what I think maybe what that younger generation, like the kids that you're dealing
Yeah,
with or the younger talents that you're dealing with in your job, I think that's what they don't really get a lot of alone time because they have a
yeah,
device all the time. I mean, we really growing up
Yeah.
had alone time. Like, I don't know about you, but even TV
Yep.
media
Me
was
too.
limited.
I could only watch public television.
I got the Saturday
That's it.
morning cartoon.
Soul Train
Me too. Public
and
television,
Soul Train and the cartoons.
Saturday
That
morning
was it.
cartoon. Yep. And then I had A Different
Yep.
World and Cosby
Yep,
Show, and
that
then
was
go to
it. There
bed.
was so many things. If you weren't cleaning on Saturday, because you know that Saturday
Yes.
was also about
Yeah.
cleaning, so you know there was all of that. But it was just like people don't understand.
That was
Right,
after the
right.
cartoons.
We had books because we actually had to read books, and so we didn't have the devices. And even with the phone, I remember the phone when I first got my phone line as a teenager. And remember that's when we had party lines when you'd be like 10, 12 people on the call. But my parents were like,
Oh
"You're
my
not gonna be
god,
on the phone
yeah.
all night. Put that down. Go to your room." But now people,
What about embarrassing
yeah,
you and picking up the phone? It's time to
yes,
get off the phone now.
yes,
You'd be like, "I was trying to have
yes.
my little conversation, and you all up, you making
Yes,
me look bad."
yes, and even with television, we're the television generation, so they were thinking that the television was gonna kill us, but I'm like, "No," because there were times when we had to turn the TV off. We couldn't just have the TV going 24/7, so these devices
No.
these
Oh, hell
devices don't
no.
have to go
Yeah.
24/7 either, but that's it.
Yeah. I think that's maybe that's the solution, like, we need people in general, we need more time for quiet time and reflection and to decompress, it's finding that space because otherwise it can affect your
Yes.
mental health
Yes.
constantly being on and constantly ingesting
Yeah,
images and stuff like that.
and the FOMO where
So,
you're wishing you had the lives
we've
of
come to an
these
end.
other people instead of your own life.
Yeah, that's the thing, 'cause, like, you can look at that and you can't always believe that, though. You can't believe that the life is great, the one that they're
Yep, nope,
presenting,
nope,
you know?
no, not at all.
No. It's like you have to be grateful of what you have and where you're at, and even your
Yeah,
mistakes, you
yeah,
have to
and
be
you
grateful
and use your mistakes
and
as
learn
something
from
that you learn from. You don't have to wallow in
Yeah.
it. You say, "Well, I've
Yeah,
learned a
yeah,
lesson
yeah.
from this mistake. I will not make this same mistake again." But you have to gain
Yeah.
something from it.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
100% agree. So,
Well,
we've
thank you.
come to an end.
I
I
know I
could talk
feel
to you
like this is our
forever, and I
usual
miss you,
sessions.
and we're getting together soon. I
Yeah.
know, this is how we talk. It's just normal, but I always end my podcast with, a quote, a creative quote. So, how would you like to be quoted? Like, what words of wisdom are you gonna leave the audience with?
Be your authentic self.
Mm,
That's where you gotta start.
be your authentic self.
That's where you gotta start.
And I wanna expand on that because it was so much noise and so much influence. How do you find your authentic self? Do you have
It's
an
in it's
answer for
it's
that?
when you're in your quiet spaces. And a colleague of mine, she has a show too,
Mhm.
and she was talking about how we're three people. You know, you have your public
Mm,
life, you have your private life, and you have your secret life that only you know. What your
mhm,
brain is telling you, those little
mhm,
self-talks you have with yourself when you're by yourself, where
mhm,
you're the real
mhm,
Dana. You know what I mean? She was talking
mhm.
about that. We had a session about it, and it was so mind-blowing. She said, but so many people, because that's where your authentic self lives. And that has nothing to do.
Mm. And it's about taking that
Yes.
person and exposing them or
It's
keeping
a
it to yourself?
combination of the 2, because sometimes you have to that's your safe space, that's your protection space, but it
Yeah,
influences the other 2, your public life, your personal life with your loves and whoever, but that secret
yeah,
part of you influences all of them, and it's how you show up.
wow.
How you show up is influenced by that part of you. So it's about really honing in on your authentic self and spending that time just like you said, self reflection, self thought, just doing that analysis of yourself. Cause that's what I do. Like every New Year's Eve, I spend New Year's Eve alone usually. I'm doing a lot of reflection. I do my little vision boards and things of my plans for the new year coming. And I just spend a lot of quiet time with myself. And that helps me all the time.
Mm.
So that's where you nurture your authentic being.
I like that because you're making me reflect right now because I think my
Yeah,
inner Dana is
it
coming
is.
out
It is.
now because I'm in
Yeah,
my aunt
it is.
era. That's
Because
what I'm
now you've
saying.
grown.
I'm
Now
I'm
you're a
like,
grown woman.
I've
Yeah,
matured
you're a
so
grown
much.
woman and you can do it.
Now I'm a grown woman. Yeah, and that's what it is, maturing. Because when you met me, I was just a hungry ass filmmaker
Right.
running around, you know, that's all I cared about really
Hmm.
was film, like making films and creating it. That was just my
Yeah.
whole identity. And then you get older and you realize it's a part of you, but it's
Yeah, it's
not
not all
who
of you.
you are.
And that's what we do. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And the beauty of
Yeah.
what you do, you could
Yeah.
turn
And
it
that's
into a
beautiful.
story.
And I do everything I think about, I sit down and I'm like, what do I want to talk about? This is bothering
Yep.
me.
Yep.
let me let me put this
Mhm.
out here.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation. Really enjoyed it.
Man, that's such. Thank you. It was amazing, and boy, I could talk film with you like
We
24
do. We've
hours
done
straight.
that before.
Think I could because you're such.
we,
We
we've done it
have, we
before.
have. We're due a movie. We
Yes, we
have to
will.
get together and see a movie. I'm thinking about going to see Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie. I'm thinking about
Oh,
seeing that tomorrow.
it's a good one. You'll like it.
So, have
I've
you
seen
seen
some
it?
clips of it. I
Oh,
have
you've
not.
seen it
I have
already.
not, but I've
Okay.
seen some clips of it. It looks good.
Okay.
I'm trying to wrap my hand around
Yeah.
him.
So yeah, we definitely have to him
No, the movie
and
Him. I'm trying
Tiana
to
being a couple.
navigate that movie.
Oh,
Yes.
him. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard some I've seen a lot of
But I question it
reviews.
because they don't talk about who the
Oh, wait a
director
minute, wait.
is.
You know what? Yeah, and you know what else? I'm gonna full circle us. You probably don't know this. When we screened, Lock& and
Mhm.
Key at Urban World
Yeah.
Film Festival, we were standing next to the director, Justin Tipping.
Really?
Do you realize he screened with us?
No. Oh,
Yes.
wow.
His yes. His short film screened when our short film screened, and we were all doing the Q&A together. He was
Oh,
standing by
wow.
us. I remember going to him and saying, "I really love your short film." And he was like, "Thank you." And we Q&A'd right next to each other. I'm gonna have to find
Oh my
photos and you can
god.
see it.
See,
Yeah, isn't that
that's the
crazy?
world we live in. That's the world we live in. Keep doing this, Dana.
Yeah. So when I saw his name, I was like, "Justin Timberlake." I was like, "Wait a
Yes.
minute. I remember him from Urban World
Yep.
Film Festival."
And they're still around, so, we gotta keep doing this.
And we had a $5 movie. We had a Cucci Frito movie. He got his from
Yep.
AFI,
Yep.
and we and we just made some stuff up, and I was like,
Yeah.
"That's crazy."
Yep. That's what we do. Well, thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna check it out. I don't know. I think it's a little heavy-handed on the
Yeah,
symbolism,
it
but I'm
seems to be
gonna
that way, but I
eventually
wanna
check it
see
out.
it on the big screen in IMAX, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Alright, so
Will do.
let me know, and I'm gonna let you go, but thank you so much for this
Thank you.
conversation. And just so when we're ending is where can people find you?
Oh
What
god, I'm
socials?
everywhere. The Urban Wheeler on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, Urban Wheeler for sure. So you can always find me there.
Okay.
And if you wanna hire me for a job
So please check
if you
out
wanna hire
Vaughn.
me for a job, you find me on LinkedIn, Vaughn Harris.
Oh my
You
god,
gotta
you're
get
such a
it, you gotta
hustler.
get it.
Alright.
Thank you, dear.
You
Bye-bye.
do. Okay, thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Inspired. I hope you are inspired. You can follow us on Instagram through 3CK Media. You can also look at us on YouTube where we'll be posting the video versions of these conversations. And by all means, you can follow me at Dana Verde, which is on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us. Every Wednesday, we will be airing a new episode. So we hope you come back next week. Thank you. Bye.